Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya and this is Samara, and I'm going to do a reaction video for you today. This was suggested in my Discord. This is a video by Strangers in Fiction, and the video is called Uluru or Uluru. I'm not sure which way is the proper way to say it, but Americans would say Uluru because that rolls off the tongue easier. But I've also heard Uluru, which is kind of harder to say, you know? So I don't know which one is right, or if they're both right. But it's called Uluru, the Australian monolith in the middle of nowhere. So I've obviously heard of Uluru and seen photos of it and stuff like that. But I've never watched like a video just about it before. So this is the first time for me like learning maybe like I'm not sure exactly what all they're getting into, but like the history of it and stuff like that. I've never dived into it or dove into it. Grammar. But yeah, I'm excited to learn about it. And Samara will probably just be here and be cute. Okay, Samara is still here, but she's right there. Right in front of me. The cats keep blocking what I watch by walking in front of it, so I set it up different today just to see if it'll help. I set it up higher to the right so that when they walk by, maybe they won't cover the video. So I'm going to try this out and see how it works. Remember, I am not a professional channel, and I'm not striving to be a professional channel. This is just me, and this is just how it is. So I apologize if you don't like it. Okay, here we go.
Heart of the Australian outback, a long way away from human habitation, lies a huge, soaring monolith that has become one of the most iconic landmarks in the world. This sandstone rock formation, which is called Uluru, is taller than the Great Pyramid of Giza.
He said Uluru, so he put the enunciation on Uluru differently than I would. And so I'm just not sure if that's a like an accent thing, or if that's, I'm not sure, because I keep wanting to say Uluru. Like it's easier for me to say Uluru. I'd have to think about it every time I want to say Uluru. Do you know what I mean? Like, you ever try to say something, if you're Australian or Kiwi or something or whatever, try to say an American word in an American way. Like, it's kind of harder to do, right? So that's what I mean by that. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Giza, older than the Alps and larger in area than the nation of Monaco. This behemoth stands out from the endless flat plains surrounding it, even being visible from space, with its walls changing colour depending on the shifting sunlight through the day, giving it almost an otherworldly appearance. According to local Anangu tradition, Uluru has a central role in the creation of this world, with the body coming into existence at the beginning of time and retaining mystical powers. We now know through modern scientific discoveries that this monolith was once even grander and more mysterious than it appears, with this sandstone rock being a remnant of a once mighty mountain range, which was as big as the Himalayas. While Australia is one of the biggest countries in the world, one immediately notices something strange when looking at the nation's population density map. Around 95% of the country is empty, with populations concentrated mainly on the east and west coasts. So why does no one live in the middle of the country? Because over 80% of Australia is covered by the Outback, which is a vast, arid, remote region, most of which receives so little rain that it can be considered a desert. Apart from the fact that...
I have a question though. So when they say no one lives in the middle and no one lives in the Outback, you know, does that literally mean not one single person? Or does that mean like you might find a person here and there that just decided to live out there? Like, you know, they kind of say that about Canada too. Like the northern region of Canada is like uninhabitable or whatever. So most of them live like really close to the border of the US. But there are still people who kind of live like more north. So I'm just curious, do people still kind of live out there, or is it literally not a soul? I've always kind of wanted to know that for real, because I don't know.
It is one of the most sparsely populated and driest regions in the world. The outback is also defined by its flatness. with just a few small hills and a handful of mountains dotted across this unimaginably vast land. However, smack bang in the middle of this vast flat expanse.
I'm sorry. I have a really dirty mind, and I'm gonna rewind it. Just hang on.
With just a few small hills and a handful of mountains dotted across this unimaginably vast land.
Seriously, use your dirty mind. And what does that look like? I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
However, smack bang in the middle of this vast flat expanse lies one of the world's biggest monoliths, a feature that looks completely alien to its surroundings, almost like it was artificially lifted from somewhere else
look at
and
that.
put here to confuse everyone. Uluru sticks
so
out like a
cool.
sore thumb amidst its surroundings, being visible from a long way away. But as you get closer, its colossal scale becomes clear. It rises 1,142 feet, or 348 meters, above the surrounding desert plain, making it taller than the Eiffel Tower and the Chrysler Building in New York City. This oval-shaped monolith has a circumference of more than 10 kilometers, meaning that it would take around 3.5 hours to walk around it. However, what meets the eye does not even tell the full story.
I would absolutely love to be able to go and see this in person, because that is so cool. And if you've been on my channel for a while, you know I'm like a girl that's really into like nature and stuff like that. I love like you know, just being surrounded by nature and peace and quiet, and you know, I love it.
Like an iceberg, Uluru conceals its real size. What we see above ground is just the tip of the rock, with most of it buried underground. This monolith stretches more than 2.5 kilometers below the surface, which is more than 7 times its height above ground. That means that if all of Uluru was above ground, it would be the tallest peak in Australia and around half as tall as the gigantic Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
Whoa.
Uluru gets its unique red color from the iron minerals in the sandstone rock, which have rusted over time. Because of its sheer size and its composition,
Look at all those people.
This body attracts thunderstorms, almost acting as a lightning rod and creating an oasis of life in the middle of the harsh desert. In fact, when it rains heavily, Uluru not only changes color, but one also witnesses several streams of waterfalls running down its surface.
That is just, look at that. That is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. That is so cool. I want to see that in person. Oh my God, I love it.
Which creates sizable puddles of water. This allows the desert plants to bloom and encourages many animals to come here to mate and feed. That is why this region is teeming with life compared to some other areas in the outback,
so pretty.
with kangaroos, emus, wombats, dingoes, and different types of lizards and snakes calling this region home.
No.
Uluru's scale and its life-giving properties are the reason why it has had a special significance in Indigenous Australian culture for thousands of years, with many considering it a sacred site. However, modern science has now lifted the veil on this rock's formation, and it turns out this body was once part of one of the grandest and largest mountain ranges in the world. The origins of Uluru date back more than 500 million years to around the same time that the Australian continent was formed. The Earth looked very different at the time, with most of the land masses being concentrated in the southern hemisphere. The Petermann Ranges, which is a 320-kilometre range that runs through central Australia, was much larger than it is today, being comparable in size to the Himalayas. It rose out of a vast, shallow inland sea which covered central Australia. But without any plant cover, these ranges eroded over tens of millions of years. The Arco sandstone that eroded was dumped at the bottom of the mountain range. And
this reminds me very much of like the western part of the US. They have a lot of this, like it looks like and kind of sounds like New Mexico and Utah, Nevada, and like that kind of area. It looks like it, and it sounds kind of how things are formed. It kind of sounds like how things are formed out there too. duh, because that's how things work. But I'm just saying, like, it looks like the look of it reminds me of like that area of the US. Because it doesn't look like that where I'm from. It doesn't look like that in Illinois. Illinois looks like farmland. That's what it looks like.
When the sea receded around 300 million years ago, it left behind the sandstone monolith that we see today. That means that Uluru has existed in its present form in the heart of Australia for 300 million years and has watched on with its serene gaze as the planet went through huge changes, including the birth and the destruction of dinosaurs, countless ice ages, the breakup of Pangaea, various mass extinction events, the rise of the mammals, and of course, the birth of mankind. Uluru would bear witness to many species of now extinct megafauna, which ran amok in prehistoric Australia, including Megalania, a giant 8-foot-long lizard that weighed around 300 kilograms. Thylacoleo, a large marsupial lion, which was an apex predator in this region, and Geology, a 6.5-foot-tall flightless bird. Perhaps some of these creatures might have even climbed this ancient rock and nested here. Then, around 50,000 years ago, humans migrating out of Africa reached the Australian shores for the first time. Eventually, a small tribe descended from that original group would venture deep into the desert and become the first people to lay their eyes on Uluru. One cannot even imagine the awe that was felt by the first humans who caught a glimpse of this ancient rock soaring up from its surroundings. They would have been spellbound as the rock changed its...
Look at that. Oh, God, you guys. It looks so perfect. Look at this picture. Oh, I want to go there.
Color through the day and glowed during sunrise and sunset. They may have been mesmerized by its tendency to attract thunderclouds and the richness of life surrounding it. Unsurprisingly, this rock became a central part of the Aboriginal Australian culture for many millennia, with the Anangu people having lived in this region for tens of thousands of years. According to Anangu culture and tradition, the world was created by ancestral beings who travelled across the land and left marks in the landscape, with Uluru being brought into existence by those beings at the beginning of time. The Anangu believe that the spirits of these ancestral beings, who they are directly descended from, still live in Uluru, which is why the rock is considered sacred and remains the site of many traditional religious and cultural rituals till today. But not all of Uluru was created at once.
Are people allowed, like you see people in this video going up to it and walking, and people, they said it takes 3.5 hours to walk around. So is anyone allowed to just drive out there and go there and they just go there? Or is there like rules to like, you have to check in somewhere first and say, hey, I'm going here, is that okay? Or like, how does that work if it's sacred and stuff, you know what I mean? Because when they say it's sacred to the Aboriginals, that means something to me, you know, because I myself do have Native American blood in me. And no matter how big or small that blood is, I'm sorry, my dog just chased my cat. No matter how big or small the amount is in a person, it doesn't matter, because it still means that my ancestors, no matter how far away, were Native and went through whatever they went through. So it means something to me when I hear stuff like this. And I actually, you probably couldn't see, but I teared up a little bit when they were talking about it, because that stuff really hits home for me personally. So I'm just asking, like, are you allowed to just go there, or do you have to get permission first to go there? I'm just curious.
To the Anangu, who have different tales detailing each part of its creation, such as the tale of Lungkata, a blue-tongued lizard which camped in a cave high on the western face of the rock, from where he hunted emu. The tale goes that Lungkata once stole and ate another hunter's emu and lied about it when they came looking for it. However, the hunters found out what had happened and lit up a fire under Lungkata, who was burned by the flames, and rolled down Uluru, leaving strips of his burned flesh stuck to the rocks he touched. The smoke and the ash from the fire still stained the side of Uluru's steep slopes, with this story serving as a cautionary tale to the Anangu as to why Uluru should never be climbed. However, the first European settlers in Australia would not be so sensitive to the local population's concerns. Australia became a British colony in the 18th century, and London was soon encouraging settlements in the new continent, with a flood of people arriving in a short period. As you would imagine, this was not great news for the native Australian population, who not only died in large numbers due to the diseases that the colonisers brought with them, but were also subjugated
and a lot of you probably know the same exact thing happened in America,
saw their communities impoverished. Across much of the 19th century, the British government set about mapping hitherto unexplored parts of this vast continent. And in 1872, the explorer William Gosse would be tasked with finding a route between Central Australia and Perth. On the July 19, 1873, Gosse was travelling through the Central Australian desert when he spotted what appeared to be a tiny outcropping in the distant desert. However, as he rode closer, it grew in size, and Gosse soon realised that he was looking at a monster forged from sandstone. Gosse became the first European in history to catch a glimpse of Uluru, and he promptly named it Ayers Rock after Sir Henry Ayers, the Chief Secretary of South Australia at the time. Being unaware of the Anangu traditions about the rock, Gosse would go on to climb it the very next day alongside his local guide. Not long after discovering and climbing Uluru, Gosse died of a heart attack, aged just 38. It would be fanciful to suggest that his death had anything to do with the legend of Longkata, as it was not uncommon for men to die in their 30s in the 19th century, but this story further adds to the mystery of this ancient rock. People would continue to climb this monolith for over a century, before finally, in 2017, the Australian government made it illegal in order to be sensitive and respectful of the
Okay, good. I like that. I'm on board with that. That's good.
Anangu's beliefs. Following many decades of controversy, the Australian government has now returned ownership of Uluru to the local Anangu, with a condition that they would lease it back to the National Parks and Wildlife Agency for 99 years, and that it would be jointly managed. Today, while the Anangu are allowed to perform their ceremonies and rituals at the rock, it is also an extremely popular tourist destination, despite its remote location, with visitors to the rock often reporting that it gives off a mystical and strange energy. This ancient sandstone monolith is now considered a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with significant steps being taken to maintain its pristine form.
In a video, it doesn't do it justice for how big it really is. There are some shots where you're like, okay, I can tell how big it is, and there's other shots where you're like, it's hard to really see how massive it is. But oh my God, I'm sure in person this thing is just so cool to see and so huge. It's so awesome. Since it's right in the middle, where they showed it on the map, how long would it take to get there? Is that like a 4 or 5 hour drive from one of the other cities, or longer than that? Is it 12 hours? I'm just not sure, distance wise, how far it is.
So that future generations can also marvel at Uluru's beauty, significance, and history. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. And if you want to learn more about such unique places and phenomena, subscribe to the channel.
That was a really, really cool video. I thank you so much, by the way, for that suggestion. I have been wanting to look into Uluru. It's like I can't do it. You know what I mean? I tried it, Uluru. I try to say it and it just comes out wrong. Anyway, I have always wanted to look into it. I've had people in the past comment to me in videos check out Uluru and all this stuff. And this first time I'm doing it. So thank you so much for the video suggestion. I learned a lot actually from this video. I knew that it had to do with the Aboriginals and stuff, but I did not know all the ins and outs of it. And this video, doesn't give all the ins and outs, but it gives a little bit of clarity and stuff to it. But it was a very informational video, and the I don't know if they're using a drone or what, but the shots that they're getting of Uluru is out of this world. It's so beautiful. I would absolutely love to go there. Just like I say, every time, every Australian video I see, I want to go there, and every New Zealand video I say, I want to go there. I can't go everywhere. That would take me my whole life, and I don't have the money for that. So anyway, but yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and I'll see you next time. Bye, poopies.